Hi everyone. This is going to be a little lecture, I guess call it a discussion, about yin versus restorative. And they're just two varieties of yoga, just two different styles of yoga. If you can, all yin classes are restorative, but not all restorative classes are yin. If you had like a little Venn diagram, there'd be like that space in the middle where you would have that shade of both. But it drives me crazy when they're misadvertised or you go into a class expecting one thing and you come out and you get there and it's completely different. They're two different styles, two different formats of practice, and I want to make it a very abundantly clear that they are different things. There are separate YTTs you can take for yin or restorative, and I'm just going to touch on it. I love teaching restorative classes. I love teaching yin classes, but I'm not certified in either one of them. Eventually I will get certified. I have lots of certifications I would like to get, but if someone would love to give me thousands and thousands of dollars and time off of work, I will do that. But for right now, I just got to get a little bit at a time. So I will give you the definition of both, just a little bit of discussion about it, and then I'm going to model some of the postures for you, and I'm going to show you how they are similar and how they are different. So let's see. Yin yoga is a slow-paced style of yoga with asanas that are held for longer periods of time. So we're talking like 5 to 20 minutes, and sometimes longer. You might only get to maybe 5 or 6 postures in an hour-long class, and that's just exactly how it's supposed to be. The style grew very popular in the Western world beginning in the 1970s. It was founded here by a martial arts expert and Taoist yoga instructor named Polly Zink. The concept of yin yoga has been around for thousands of years, and ancient texts only alluded to about 16 different postures. The postures seem to be used mainly for meditation and long periods of pranayama. We've kind of talked about that, how you are how you're getting your body ready to sit in meditation for long periods of time. Sorry, the dog's out here with me. Let's see, where did I leave off? The practice has evolved to only about 3 dozen postures in this current time. And this is for yin. Some of the postures are just the same that are practiced in a yang class, and yang would just be what you've been training to do, would be a vinyasa class. So yin is really slow, methodical, can be painful, therapeutic, whereas our vinyasa classes would be considered yang. So high energy, yin is very low energy. They are also the same. Some of the postures in yin are the same as in restorative. They're just called something different, and they're just presented in a different context. All right, let's see. The most prominent advocate today is Paul Greeley, and you can get all sorts of books written by him about yin classes. He's very, very intelligent, very, very wise yoga instructor. So you try to relax into the posture by softening the muscles, and you're moving closer to the bone in yin. So you're bypassing muscle and getting closer to joints and that connective tissue, getting closer to so you're stretching out tendons and ligaments. It's a good rehab type class or rehab style of class if you're coming back from an injury, but it can be extremely intense. Extremely intense. It offers a lot deeper access to the body, and trying to access connective tissues and fascia, focuses on area that encompass the joints such as hips, the sacrum, and the spine. It's calming and balancing to the mind and body, regulates energy in the body, lowers stress levels, increases mobility, especially in the joints. Hips, great. Restorative postures are great for mobility in the hips. It's supposed to give you greater stamina, better lubrication and protection in the joints, more flexibility. It releases the fascia. It offers a deep relaxation. Theoretically, yin classes can be extremely intense. Restorative yoga is a very passive stretch. Yin is still passive, but it's not as passive as restorative. There's very little movement involved in either one, and there's not, in vinyasa we have these smooth transitions from posture to posture, and it flows. Yin and restorative are not like that. It's like an isolated posture, then an isolated posture, then an isolated posture. In restorative, like I said, it's very passive stretching, very little movement. The goal is to have the muscles relax completely, and we use props abundantly. All sorts of props: blocks, bolsters, straps, blankets, pillows, chairs. We can use chairs. There's all sorts of tools for a restorative class. In Yin, you use nothing. Nothing to help support the body, because we want the body to be extremely stretched. It's a good way to look at it. Restorative classes are very relaxing. When I would teach them, there would be people that would fall asleep. Yin is generally not, in a traditional sense, you wouldn't use music in Yin, but in restorative, you kind of have that nice spa-like music. In Yin, you practice in a non-heated room, or if it is heated, certainly in the wintertime you want a little bit of heat, but we're talking room temperature. It's not warm, because we don't want the muscles to soften. When you take those heated classes and you're very warm, you're very flexible. The muscles are stretching out. It's like taffy. We practice Yin classes in a colder room. Restorative, I've always kept it a little bit warmer, because you just want them to relax. And restorative still gets a little bit closer. It still stretches out, not just muscle, tendons, ligaments, but it's not done in such a way that it's as intense as Yin. People find Yin sometimes to be very uncomfortable. It's very intense, and restorative is usually pretty benign, we'll say. Yin and restorative are very difficult practices for many people, because they don't like to sit and quiet and have to think. You kind of don't want them to think so much. You want them to just relax, but it's hard because your body, especially in Yin, is in an uncomfortable position a lot of the times, and the teacher doesn't talk a lot. So if you're going to teach a Yin versus restorative class, you need to be okay and comfortable with those silences, because they're going to be there. You don't need to fill up, an hour-long class with your words if they're just lying there. I just like to throw in a couple of quotes about a certain topic while we're in there, or if it's a themed class, which is what I used to do for my restorative classes, I would just do once a month a 90-minute restorative little workshop with essential oils, and get them all nice and cozy, and do massages on their heads and on their feet and things like that. Whereas Yin, I always feel like it's so impersonal, but it's not meant to be, really. It's not all warm and cozy. It's just very, very intense. There are lots of books out there if you're interested in more, learning more about Yin and restorative. Lots of, Google searches. You can always look up stuff on Google too. I would encourage you to try a restorative or a Yin class, but here's where I can get on my little soapbox about this. I can go off on rants about this. When people label things as restorative, and you go in and it is a Yin class, that's really frustrating. I go in expecting to be relaxed, to have nice music, maybe there's a sound bath, something going on. No. If it's Yin, because first of all, if you go to a studio and they're telling you they offer restorative, but they don't have any props, it's not restorative, it's Yin. And it just gets confusing. The terms, I think, are used interchangeably when they shouldn't be. And you'll find people too that don't really read class descriptions. If you're teaching a Yin or restorative class and they come to your class and you get them into a position and they're angry and they can't release that anger and that tension, it's because it was like they were kind of tricked. because they thought they were coming into an active class, and you're asking them, as my friend and one of my mentors during my YTT used to say, that you're telling them, or you're asking them to sit in their shit. And that's uncomfortable for anybody. So just make sure, if you are teaching a yin or restorative class, that it's labeled correctly, and that you have a very very succinct description. Please don't let there be any confusion about what the class actually is, because it's just it's not okay to dupe people. I find, and this has been my personal experience, is that the people that could use or get the most benefit out of a yin or restorative class are the people that will avoid it the most. People that are overworked, they're frazzled, their body is killing them, whether it's from stress or overactivity, never stretching. Those are the people that could use this class the most. People that have suffered injuries, that are still hell-bent on doing this vinyasa class that's going at 100 miles an hour in 95-degree room, could really benefit the most from slowing it down and backing up and targeting an area of the body. One thing that's really important to remember, and this is because we use restorative postures in our vinyasa classes all the time. I mean, pigeon pose is a restorative posture. What else can you consider to be restorative? Oh, like a wide seated forward fold. If you're in that straddle stretch, that is a restorative posture. Just think about how deep you're getting into the groin and the adductors and the inside of the knee. But I will show you how that posture also translates to a restorative class. So you're still getting the stretch, but it's not as intense. What else was I gonna say? I don't remember. Don't forget where I was going with that. It's called Not Enough Sleep. And I'm sorry that all these videos are a little bit delayed. I had the most horrible migraine this week. I came out of nowhere. I hadn't had one in a long time. I've been keeping up with my acupuncture and my craniosacral massages and seeing the chiropractor, so probably lack of sleep gave me a migraine. So I'm a little bit late in getting these, and I still seem to be a little bit confused, which is very typical for me, so with a migraine. I'm sure I'll remember what I was going to say when I'm done with the video. I don't know. All right, let me reset the iPad. Let me see if I turn it to the side. Yeah. Oh, no. The speaker's on the side, so that stinks. All right. Do I turn it upside down? No. I'm not good at this stuff. Hold on. All right. I'm going to have to yell so you can hear me. Okay, come here. So like I said, in a restorative class, we have all of these props. Quite a few of them. When I talked to you guys before about tools, I talked to you about all the different shapes of bolsters. Today, just from whatever I had at the studio, I didn't film at the studio this week. I apologize, so I would have access to more of the bolsters, but this is going to serve the purpose that I wanted to. So pigeon, like I said, pigeon pose is a yin restorative posture. We use that in our everyday class. We use them, in vinyasa classes all the time. But I will show you. So in our traditional pigeon, we have that one leg in front, shin is parallel to the back of the mat, and I'm going to talk about the alignment of this posture a little bit later in a video. But holding this for up to 20 minutes aside is intense. I find that that people either love pigeon or they don't love pigeon. I love pigeon. There's some days where I'm a little less in love with it, but like Alexander hates pigeon. So this would be our pigeon with no props. This would be our yin variation of pigeon. To take a restorative variation of pigeon, a blanket could be used to pad the knees. Blocks would go at the top of the mat. We would bring the bolster with one end up, the side closest to the body, The side closest to the body would go in between the thighs. And if I was stretching out the right leg first, I would extend the left leg back. You could have the entire torso resting on the bolster, or you could be down back a little bit further, so it's not just the leg, and it could be maybe just one block. I usually give people the option of where they want to take this. I know what I was going to say earlier. So it takes about 45 seconds, 45 to 90 seconds when you come into an intense stretch for your body to realize that what you're doing is not meant to be harmful. Your body is going to protect itself. Oh, Nana. I broke my insect box. All right. The full shelf is back. All right, so let me pause the video and then I'll start again in a little bit. Hold on. Come here. Because I got to clean this mess up. So hold on.